That's a good pop.
Yeah.
It's quite squeaky.
Squeak.
I think the first pop was good because you had that pressure. Now you're just getting the squeak. After our visit to the Whisky Show last week and Dave's very positive Bruichladdich experience, we thought we'd try a special dram from the Islay distillery that we've very much been looking forward to.
Yes, this week we'll be tasting a cask strength Bruichladdich 11-year-old, which was bottled by the Single Cask independent bottlers in partnership with the Water of Life film.
And remember, you can find some more whiskey-based content, images and videos on all our social media platforms at Whisky and Things Podcast on Instagram and at Whisky and Things on Facebook and Twitter.
And if you've got a moment, please check to see if you can leave us a review on your podcast platform. Every review makes a difference. It really helps us out. Please do that. Thank you.
You're listening to Whisky and Things with Nick Kent and Dave Giles.
Welcome to episode 82. I'm Dave Giles.
And I'm Nick Kent. Good year, 82. Good year.
What album came out of that?
I can't remember. I was just being born, David. Just being born.
Crikey. 1982.
Yeah.
Best albums. This is a feature we've not done on this podcast yet, which is crazy.
I know. It just reminds me, I tried to go in the Ardeno or Ardnado, however you pronounce that distillery, anyway, on their website earlier, and I put in my age, and it said I was too young to go in for some reason. I think their website may be broken.
I think that is broken. Mate, there was some big albums out. You'll like this. Number of the Beast.
Oh,
Did you know you were the same age as Number of the Beast?
I did not. It's quite a coincidence, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Avalon by Roxy Music, which is a great album. Rio by Duran Duran.
Oh,
yes.
Tune. I should know this, because you sometimes get a birthday card with the stuff that came out the year. Yeah.
Yes.
But,
there was some small album by Michael Jackson called Thriller.
Never heard of it.
Nebraska by Bruce Springsteen. That's a great album. Anyway, that was just a little bit of fun there. Nick was born in 1982. This is episode 82. Good year. Anyway.
Good year.
How you doing? We both have morning voices today.
Yeah, but it's another Tuesday show. Tuesday recording. Because we recorded one last night, which we're going to put out next week. But so we're doing another quick one. Not a quick one. Well, we'll see what happens. Today. And it's, Tuesday morning. It's 17 minutes past 10 on Tuesday, the 12th of October, everyone.
Yeah. I had a gig late last night. Got home at about 2 a.m. So I'm a little bit hoarse. I don't know where that word comes from.
Horse. Is it spelt the same way as?
No, it's not spelt the same. It's got an A in it.
No.
But
but horse.
But yeah, so you can hear. I this is how I sound after a gig. My low range today, I think, is going to be really good. I think I could do a really good Johnny Cash today.
Oh yeah, not as good as after the Whisky Show.
Train coming. No, that was excellent.
Yeah.
Have you recovered from the Whisky Show?
Yes. Yeah, I've had but I'm doing other things which have made me tired. I was very tired last night. It was just, I was meant to prep for this show last night, but then had a meal after we finished recording and then fell asleep on the sofa.
Classic Nick.
Hey, I'm allowed. It's my own house. I'm allowed to fall asleep on the sofa watching whatever I was watching. I can't remember.
Especially if you were born in 1982.
Exactly. So I went to Belfast at the weekend, had some Bushmills while I was there. That was nice. Got to have the local stuff when you're in Belfast.
For sure.
And then came back. And have you caught any of the virtual Whisky Show?
Mate, I didn't. I didn't have time for any of it. And to be honest, I was very much whiskied out. After
me too. I dipped in and out, but it wasn't like last year where there was like every whiskey distillery had a stand and stuff like they did last year because they couldn't have the normal show. It was more stuff just that the Whiskey Exchange were putting on and the actual show were putting on, which was great. But I just didn't have time, to be honest. I was doing all kinds of other stuff to, making videos and Instagram stuff and, just prepping for the weekend because I was going away. But yes, it looked good. I just didn't get to catch any of it. But yeah, I've recovered pretty much, Dave.
Excellent.
Yes. Thank you.
It took me a few days. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Lessons learned.
For sure.
Lessons lessons reminded, I think. Just coming out of lockdown, haven't had many nights like that.
Exactly.
I kind of unlearned that, all right, Nick, you've had a good time. Go home. You don't need another pint.
I tweeted on our Whiskey and Things account that we were struggling, and Dave Worthington replied saying, always take a pic of every bottle you try at a whiskey festival.
Yeah.
And make it a 3-day session and plan the dram list in advance. He also said, make sure you eat. It's essential. You can make friends there too, which is probably a really good point, actually.
In the meal area.
Brasserie,
whatever they call it.
Next time we need to do that. Spend some time eating.
In the whiskey canteen.
In the whiskey canteen, absolutely. Anyway, shall we get on with this week's whiskey, Nick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sting me.
Whiskey?
So that goes up at the end. That's the first one. Whiskey? And then the second one, it's like
whiskey?
a question. It's like a question and answer, Dave. And then it's
The whiskey.
It's like whiskey.
And he says the
whiskey. It's like whiskey? Question, answer, whiskey. That's the thought behind that, everyone. In case you didn't get that last week.
Just a recap there on Nick Sting's process. The process behind the sting. Some people like to know the magic behind how things happen, Nick. Yeah. Some people like to see how sausages are made. Most people don't.
Exactly. It can ruin the magic for some people,
Yeah, exactly.
Can ruin the magic. Become a musician ruins a lot of songs for me, actually, once you have to try and break them down. Do you remember?
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I remember liking Wonderwall.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I suppose that's the obvious example, right?
Yeah, even songs like Sweet Child of Mine, I now skip because I'm like, I've played that a million times. It's not as special. I have to forget that I'm thinking about the music to enjoy that song sometimes, and many other songs. But, don't dissect the flower because you will kill it.
Hey, see, this is why I am glad that my music taste tends to be stuff that bands don't play very much. Like pub bands and covers bands don't play too much.
Bit of Dream Theater? Yeah.
Yeah, no.
This feels weird this week because I don't have the bottle, you do.
Yes, I do. Do you want me to do the catchphrase first, or are we doing a little introduction of how we made the decision behind the whiskey first?
Yeah, do that. I think. Yeah.
Which one?
Well, the latter.
Right, okay. So obviously, we're at the Whisky Show, and one of my favourite experiences there was at the Bruichladdich stand. And I've actually had a bottle of whiskey, although I don't have any of the actual releases. Oh, I do have the Port Charlotte, but we've done that. I don't have any of the other Bruichladdich stuff in my collection. But Jen Jones, one of our Patreons, sent me this bottle a while back that she bought, and she wanted us to try it. And it was after we spoke, after we did an episode about the Water of Life film, which was what episode, Nick? I think it was, I'm going to guess. Let me have a little guess. Was it episode 44?
It might be, yeah. It might have been, yeah. I saw your your right hand move to your mouse then. People want to know about behind the scenes stuff today, and I'm saying he just went, I'm going to have a guess, moved his hand to his mouse and scrolled down.
It was a great guess.
It was a great guess.
It was what we call an educated guess. Anyway, she sent this bottle, which is in conjunction with the Water of Life, and it's an independent bottler who has done a cask release of a Bruichladdich whiskey, right?
Yes. Yeah, they're called the Single Cask.
Yes. So I figured we'd have a little recap of that movie, which we loved so much, and also try some more Bruichladdich whiskey.
Yeah, it's a perfect thing for 10:25 on a Tuesday morning.
Exactly, and thank you very much, Jen.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. 61.3
Yeah, I have no idea if you can still get this.
Well, it's a secondary market thing.
Right, it's a secondary market thing.
You can't buy it. As in like retail. It was originally released in conjunction with a tasting and Q&A they did for the movie.
Very nice.
So, yes.
Very nice.
So, do the catchphrase, Dave.
This week's whiskey.
See, that was good. That was a good one with my morning voice.
That was almost like my COVID voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Bruichladdich, 11-year-old. This is the 2009 distillation, bottled by the Single Cask independent bottlers. This is the Water of Life edition. Islay whiskey, of course, being Bruichladdich.
Yeah. It's cask number 3,615 and it's bottle number 109 of 247. I wonder if there's much variation between bottles when they do these kind of things. That would be interesting.
It's not between bottles, I wouldn't think.
There could be, though.
Cask?
There could be.
Why?
You never know.
Why? They'll let it sit for a bit after they've de-casked it, if that's the term, which I doubt it is.
What do they let it sit in?
A vat.
Oh, fair enough. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's a first fill bourbon barrel, and it's 61.3% ABV. Lovely for first thing in the morning. And that's what I've got for you. How do you feel about that?
That was nice.
That's what it says on the bottle.
Let's talk about the bottle.
Oh, it's a pretty bottle.
It is a pretty bottle. It's very square.
It's
in a good
very
way.
square.
In a good way, I think. It's very chunky. It's nice. It's got a nice copper. I think they call it a whiskey bit.
Proper cork.
Nice, like, copper badge on the side with the Single Cask logo on there and stuff. And then you've got loads of information on the label there.
Well, yeah, what I just read out. Oh, yeah, it's also says it was distilled on the 12th of October 2009 and bottled on the 21st of October 2020. So that's the kind of thing you normally see when you get a Single Cask. I like it when you get that kind of information. Not that it really changed anything, but it's there,
like
isn't it?
Yeah, on the Single Cask website. And no, actually, this came from an email which was sent to us when they were selling it.
Oh, right.
Ben Curtis, owner of the Single Cask, said, Jim McEwen era Bruichladdich casks are becoming impossible to find, and the prices of those casks have gone through the roof in the past few years. And working together with the Water of Life team to find a whiskey to complement the film, this specific cask was a no-brainer as a beautiful expression of the whiskey at its purest. Of course, Jim McEwen, let's give people a recap, because that's kind of what the Water of Life film was about. The film essentially was about single malt Scotch whiskey in Islay, and but its main narrative was the story of the distiller Jim McEwen and the rebirth of the Bruichladdich distillery in Islay, together with Mark Rainier and Simon Coughlin. Mark Rainier, of course, went on to start Waterford in Ireland.
Of course.
The single malt Irish whiskey, which is terroir driven in their philosophy. Jim McEwen was in the business. He's been in the business nearly 60 years now, I would say. He's from Islay. He used to skip school to go help at Bowmore, like when he was like 12 or something. And then he was at Bowmore for years. Then he went to Bruichladdich around the year 2000, I think it was, to help the rebirth. Retired in 2015. Came out of retirement in 2017 to help Ardnaho. We keep saying Ardnaho. Where's that one? I don't know. But yeah, and then he's also helping a distillery in Australia as well. He's a man who just doesn't want to retire. And why would you?
Although I think he has just retired again.
Is he retired again?
I'm pretty sure I saw some posts.
We'll see about that.
He was definitely retired now.
Well, he's got a book coming out soon about his life called The Journeyman's Journey. Nice. You can pre-order that on the wateroflifefilm.com shop, which I will link in several places.
Hey, Nick, I want to talk about the film a little bit more, but first, what is terroir? Terroir, for those who may be listening to this for the first time and haven't heard you mention that before. Because you say, of course, as if everyone knows, but it's a word that's not necessarily familiar to many people.
I'm probably going to butcher this. It's a term which is mainly used in wine, where a specific field, or it's basically about the land in which a whiskey is made, including where the barley is grown, how the land affects the taste of the final product. So it happens a lot in wine because you might have the grape, the vineyards facing a certain direction, which might be facing the sun a bit more than one on another side of a hill and all that kind of stuff. So those grapes might taste better. The soil might be different, so that's going to affect the grapes. And Mark Rainier believes that this affects the barley, even though a lot of other people don't think it is. Kind of a big discussion point, has been for the last probably couple of years, I reckon, that the actual where the barley is grown and the field and the farmer, everything affects the final taste of the whiskey. So he's been basically at Waterford. They are making whiskies which have been made from pretty much field to glass. You know, you can trace your bottle of whiskey back to the field, the farmer, where it was made, and you can compare the different fields to see how the terroir, as it were, has affected that taste.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, they're giving up too much. There's certain parts of that information which it clearly can't affect it, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is the debate, and it's a good debate. We haven't gone into it too much in this show because we need to look into it a lot more. We haven't done Watford yet, but and we didn't go to the stand properly the other day.
No, we didn't.
It was quite busy, but we'll do that at some point. Yeah, it's a discussion point, everyone.
For sure. So so now almost 40 episodes ago, we watched the Water of Life film. We got a nice little advanced screening of it on our computers and spoke to one of the producers and the directors, didn't we?
Yes. I mean,
Greg
just
Swartz.
director. Yeah, he was
just the director.
Just the director. We only had the director on. But yeah,
and,
really nice guy.
And we both loved that movie. It was one of those really great movies about whiskey, which isn't just about whiskey. Trying to remember the right words to say here, but it's about the people who make whiskey and their stories. And it's not a documentary of how to make whiskey. It's a documentary about the people who make whiskey, and I like that a lot. And I didn't expect to feel emotional watching that film, and I did. And I think that's great filmmaking there. So
it was good. It looked great too. Some of the camera work was fantastic.
Oh yeah, there were some ridiculous shots in there.
Yeah.
So I've been looking forward to trying this because of that film, because of the Jim McEwan link, and this, as they said, is the pure. What's the phrase? The pure expression of Bruichladdich. Is that what they said on that email?
It was a no-brainer, as it's a beautiful expression of the whiskey at its purest.
At its purest, there it is. Yeah. So yeah, if you've seen that movie or if you've heard anything about Bruichladdich, you kind of want to know what it's all about, especially the Jim McEwan element.
You're listening to Whiskey and Things.
Nick, I've poured some.
Ooh,
have you poured
too.
some?
I certainly have. Of course, it's not fair because we are drinking out of our Whiskey and Things Glencairn, so
which means it's going to taste better, of course.
At least 20% better. And it's early in the day, so apparently our olfactory systems should be working better as well.
Is that true?
Yeah, they work better early in the morning. And I intentionally didn't brush my teeth. That sounds minging, but I didn't want the
toothpaste
the
to affect. Yeah. That's fair enough.
It's beautiful on the nose, isn't it? Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean there is a freshness to it, almost a mintiness to it. Are you getting that? It's really fresh.
It is.
I'm not sure whether this is going to be peaty or not, because it's Islay. I naturally assume it will, but I know they have non-peaty expressions. But because it doesn't, there's no information about that side of it, is there?
Yeah, it's not like it's been bottled under Bruichladdich.
Yeah,
you know, I'm not really getting the peat. I'm not
getting any peat at all. I'm just getting an immense freshness.
Yeah,
it's taken me to the seaside without the fishiness, if that makes sense. I'm just.
Like a sea saltiness?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a sweetness in the nose.
Sweet,
I'm not very good at this. I'm going to have a little bit of a taste.
Yeah, there's definitely a sweetness. It's more of a feeling I'm getting from this, like from smelling this, rather than specific notes. It is sweet on the nose, but it's just so fresh. I've said this many times now. Fresh, Nick. Fresh. Fresh new beats.
I'll say the swig. Firstly, this is one of those whiskies where that does not feel like a 61.3. ABV.
Oh, absolutely not. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that is wonderful, isn't it?
Oh, my. Oh, that's so good. That's...
So much flavour in it. And the tears on the glass are taking a while to come down. I'm telling you. It's got a nice... Of course, don't use the word oily, but I'm just trying to describe its consistency. Lovely oily texture.
I'm trying to pick out something, Nick, but I can't.
It's quite spicy.
I was just about to say it's spicy, but there's some tropical fruit in there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a pepper and tropical fruit would be the combination I would pick there. But just wow. Do you know what, Nick? I am going to add some water just because I feel like one of the reasons.
Open up a bit.
Yeah, well, I think they've just gone, well, here have it at cask strength, but I think it's going to be one of those ones which offers something different lower down, which I don't think is going to be a bad thing. I think we're going to...
I mean, you've got a bottle and I've got another dram, so we can afford to do this.
Well, there's not much left in the bottle. Yeah, I'm getting more pineapple notes with the water. There's also a creaminess, like, you know, those pineapple yogurts.
That used to be one of my favourites, the pineapple.
There it is.
Remember getting a massive chunk of pineapple in
pineapple. That was,
and you're like, winning.
Yes.
Winning. And then you wonder, why don't I just eat a pineapple? You know, if I want a pineapple, just have a pineapple.
Someone sent me a pineapple once in a fruit basket.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I didn't know what to do with the pineapple. So I chopped it up and I put it in the freezer and then turned it in, and then was making smoothies with chunks of pineapple.
That's
frozen
perfectly
chunks of
acceptable. Yeah.
Thought it was a good idea. It was
That's
amazing.
a great idea. Well done. I do like a spiced pineapple. You ever had
Well, there you go. That's why you're enjoying this whiskey.
I went to a Brazilian barbecue joint in Birmingham once, and the pudding. It was one of those all-you-can-eat steak restaurants, steak places. Anyway, the pudding was this spiced pineapple, came out like cinnamon on the side, and it was absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely.
This is just crazy. This whiskey. This is so good.
Let's talk about the bottlers. They're called the Single Cask.
Yeah.
They're independent bottlers.
They're based in Richmond.
Are they? I didn't know that.
Well, there's an address on the bottle that is Richmond, so local to me.
Nice. It's from their website, just because it's easier than me rewording it this morning. The Single Cask bottles unique spirits one cask at a time.
That's exactly what it says on the tin.
Exactly. I know. Nailed it with that. It's almost two on the nose. From the Single Cask. Which bottlers? The Single Cask. Okay.
Yeah, well, what do they do?
Yeah, what do they do? We search hard to find exceptional single malt whiskey, Irish whiskey, and American bourbon. That's interesting. You don't see many bottlers doing various things. Well, Boutique do. That's another one. Yeah. We like to find great examples of what typifies a particular distillery's characteristics, or what showcases a certain maturation technique. But in short, if it's delicious, we want you to have it. I was on their website earlier. It's mainly Scotch at the moment. They haven't got any bourbons. I was excited about that. But they've got a few English examples on there as well. But yeah, it's good to see a distiller or a bottler, indie bottler, doing various different
Expressions.
Categories.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so this whiskey isn't peated, for sure. I mean, if it is, it's so lightly peated.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that.
Yeah. It seems all the bottles they do are cask strength.
Right.
So
that's what you would expect from someone saying
Single Cask.
Single Cask. So I'm guessing this is expensive. In fact, I remember it being expensive.
It wasn't overly expensive, actually.
I think it's over £100 though, isn't it?
£149 is how much this was when they were selling it for the Q&A and stuff. The Q&A was on the 5th of March this year.
Yeah.
And that's what this was sold for. So people got it for that. So yeah, it was £149 for that. I found it on a auction site, justwhiskey.co.uk, and one went on March 22nd. So somebody flipped one straight away, and they got it, and they got £181 back for it. So they made £32.
That was really worth it. Well done.
Well worth it. Yeah. If you're happy, then fantastic. Somebody else is happy as well because they got it. But yeah, they flipped it straight away. But I'm not sure. I didn't really go searching for it, but it depends. We've got a good episode next week, everyone, on this subject, so we won't talk too much about it now. But,
absolutely. But yeah, this is super tasty. The thing is about spending that much money, £150 on a bottle like this, that wouldn't put me off too much. It's because it's cask strength. You can water it down. You can make it last a little bit longer. You could experiment with different how much water you want within that, I think, and get different flavours. So that bottle could go a hell of a long way, in my opinion.
You could get another. Another third out of it, I reckon. If you don't want to go below 40%.
Good maths.
Am I right there? I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yes. So you get an extra. So you think about that. Take a third off. If they'd watered it down, it would have been about £100 bottle essentially.
Yeah.
But for a Bruichladdich single cask. So yeah. And there's a story behind it, and it was alongside the Q&A. If you had this and you were drinking it alongside, it's a nice little event, I think. You got your viewing and your Q&A and stuff. So
for sure. But I think I'm just the movie made me excited about Bruichladdich, and then we never really capitalised on that. Those feelings. I never thought we never
feelings you had, Dave.
But we didn't, did we? We did the movie, but we then other things came up, so we never actually got round. Even though I had this bottle, we never got round to it. But going to the stand last week really made me go, oh man, I've got to get back into looking into that, and we've got to try that whiskey, because the stuff we had from at that stand was incredible. From their core range all the way through to the dark arts and the stuff under the counter, the really expensive stuff. So I think it's going to become it's probably one of my favourite Scots distilleries. The stuff I've had from it, sure, definitely my favourite Islay.
Yeah, well, that's what. Yeah, I mean, it's an unpeated Islay, which is going to be a bit different from anything else anyway.
But the Port Charlotte, I
stuff.
love the Port Charlotte, and that's peated expression from that distillery, right? So.
Then you got the old Octomore.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll look into this a bit more, because it'd be nice to have that again. It's a beautiful bottle, that turquoise teal.
Yeah, you want to have that on your bar, don't you?
Yeah, just sings, doesn't it? Just announces itself.
Yeah, that's the classic laddie. It's got a beautiful bottle.
Yes, but this cask strength one is single cask is nice. So
thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. It's a real treat. Yes, it took us a while to get round to it, but I think they were always doing things on Water of Life in terms of the movie, because it didn't get a proper release because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
so they weren't allowed to do it weren't allowed to show it in theaters and all that kind of stuff. So they keep releasing it, like streaming it around the world and stuff. They did a Q&A on the Whisky Tribe channel a few weeks back.
Nice,
and they're showing it through that as well. So if you go to I'll put links in the on the website, everyone.
There's also a Facebook group called Friends of the Water of Life, which I think you can join.
Yes. We're on that, I think.
Where you can find out what they're up to, which is always good.
Yeah, and where to see the film and stuff now, where to stream it.
Use that as your takeaway from this episode. Again, go and watch that movie. It's really worth it. It's a great movie. It doesn't just focus on Bruichladdich. It does do other things as well. But it's the main thread that runs through the movie.
And even if you haven't seen it for a while, go back and watch it. It's a good recap. I like going back and watching films that I haven't seen for a bit, because there's always something which I didn't quite understand the first time round.
But it's a good point. You think of how much we've learned in the last 40 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy, isn't it?
Crazy. There's a song about the feelings you had when you first saw it, Dave.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. Anyway. Of course, you can find out more about this Water of Life bottling from the Single Cask over at thesinglecask.co.uk. And if you haven't seen the Water of Life yet, then head to wateroflife.com to find out more, where you can view it in your territory, streaming, etc. And I'll put all the other social media links, etc. on the website, www.whiskyandthings.com.
Yep, in our show notes, you'll find them in the archive, or just if you look in click on this episode, and there'll be a link to the exact episode with all the show notes.
You're listening to the Whisky and Things podcast.
You were just jealous of my voice, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I just needed people to be reminded of how it's meant to sound. Of a classic, of a brilliant voice. I don't know where I was going with that. It's just an epic voice. Anyway.
Yes. So next week we're doing something different. There's no whiskey next week. We're talking about investment, and I'm excited for you to hear this. This is a really good interview we did yesterday, which I learned a hell of a lot, and I hope that you will do too. So we've got that coming up next week, which is always lovely. And
should we say who's on? Because we've done it. So
by all means.
It's not like we might cancel the interview, because it happened yesterday. We have Mark Littler on next week, of Mark Littler YouTube channel and Mark Littler Limited, talking about bottle investment, cask investment, all kinds of things. And they've just released a guide, which we'll be talking about. So yes, it's a great episode. Looking forward to getting it out there.
It's quite geeky in the sense of, it got me thinking about collecting, and as someone who, I am a collector, I like collecting things. I wish I could collect expensive whiskies, but I can't. But it got me excited in that it tickled those parts of my brain.
It tickled that bone.
Yeah, it did. That made me go, ooh, could you imagine? Ooh.
I love a collection.
Exactly. So yes, it was more than just about finance stuff. There was another side of it which I really enjoyed.
Yes.
But I think that's all we got for this week, isn't it? But yes, what takeaway, as I said, Water of Life. Go watch it. Anything you can find from Bruichladdich, try it, and let us know what your thoughts are on any of the Bruichladdich expressions you may have had, whether they private bottlings or independent bottlings or official releases. What's the expression for that? OB. Is it original? Is that
official bottling?
Okay, official bottling.
Yeah.
There you go.
OB,
get your OBs and your IBs and whatever.
Yeah,
just if you've had some.
Just enjoy whiskey. Yes, just enjoy it. Don't worry about it. I just inhaled a lot. Oh, wow, that was lovely.
Of whiskey?
Well, what was left in my mouth? Like, just my saliva was like probably 50 proof or something.
Amazing.
Anyway, there we go.
Amazing. Right, we'll be back next week.
Let's hit it and quit it, Dave.
Absolutely. Angels have had their share, mate.
And we've had ours. And you've had yours, listeners. Cheers. Thanks for coming. Whisky and Things has been brought to you by And Things.